Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about 3 ways to get new clients today. Okay. So if you are someone who has been struggling to get clients, if you're someone who's out here, maybe you just started and you're not getting any clients yet, or maybe you've been out here for a minute and you're like doing everything that you can do possibly to get clients and it doesn't seem to be working, today is definitely going to help you. Okay. Let us jump in. I am not going to be here long today. I try my best to keep these 30 minutes and under. Okay. So we're talking about 3 ways to get new clients today. First thing for you to know is that there are dozens and dozens upon dozens and dozens of ways that you could get clients. Okay. The problem is that most strategies happen over time. Okay. And we're talking about how you could get clients today. And it's important for me to mention this because depending on where you are in business, you might have to face the fact that it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay. We're going to talk about this today. Okay. And so the reason why a lot of the strategies happen over time is because there are things that you have to do. So number one, and I hope you guys are taking notes, taking notes, taking notes, taking notes. Number one, you got to be able to attract your ideal client. Okay. This is what I like to call captivate. This is a captivate, the captivation formula that I teach in my market your message framework. Okay. And so you have to be able to captivate people, the right people. And then the next thing is nurture. So this is where cultivation happens. So once you're able to captivate your ideal clients and you get their attention, you have to be able to nurture relationships, build rapport, and get them to know, like, and trust you. Okay. So you have to actually move people from being a cold audience to a warm audience. And let me give you an example. And this is something that I hear a lot. So, I talk to a lot of coaches and they're like, wait a minute, Nyala, I got all these followers on Instagram, I have all these people following my YouTube channel. I got all these people in my group, but you got to understand that most of the time your followers, if not all the time, they're cold. They're cold. They're not loyal to you. Okay. So what that means is they don't just follow you, they follow many people, right? And so it's your job to move them over to being warm before they end up being a hot lead for you. Okay. So that is the important part. That is the pre-work that I feel that a lot of people forget. And so they're like, oh, I want clients, but you haven't done the pre-work, right? You got to be able to attract them. And see, another thing that I see happen is that some people are really good with attracting the right people because they know how to write good social posts or whatever. They know how to attract people to them, but they're not good with the nurturing. They're not putting out consistent content to nurture people. They're not sharing stories. They're not building that know, like, and trust. And so what happens is they see people in their audience actually go and hire other people. And you're like, okay, how you going to be in my audience and go hire someone else? Well, that's because you have not nurtured and built that know, like, and trust and got them to the point where they see the gap, they see what they need, and they see you as the only solution to fill that need. Okay. And so that is the pre-work that has to happen. And that is the reason why most of the strategies for you to get clients happen over time. And it's not something that just happens instantly. Okay. But there are things that you can do if you are in a certain position. We're going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you 3 ways. Okay. So number one, I want you to write this down. The first way that you can get clients today is by tapping into your email list. Okay. So you see why I said this, depending on where you are in business, because if you're someone who has not started building a list yet, then this is not going to work for you. All right. And you need to understand the importance of building a list. Okay. And so the reason why tapping into your email list is one of the best ways for you to get clients today is because they're already primed to a certain extent. You have already nurtured them. You have already shared stories with them. You have already given value. You have already done that pre-work that I told you, where you attracted them onto your list and you nurtured them. So they're already primed to a certain extent, right? And so I'm going to give you a quick story. A few years back, I was working with one of my favorite coaches. And at this time, I was already somewhat known in the industry. I was getting clients or whatever, but I was not charging what I should have been charging. On some level, I thought that people couldn't afford me. On another level, there could have been some doubt there. Even though I was really great at what I did, I wasn't charging what I could have been charging. And so I remember when I had my first call with him, he was like, oh no, you need to change your price, blah, 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 blah. And he totally changed my price with me. Like literally my program was already structured correctly, but the price was wrong. So all we had to do was one thing, which was change my price. And then he gave me an email, a script, and he said, I want you to email this to your list today. And I want you to go. And when you get the next sales call, I want you to say this number. And I was like, okay, because I'm always the coach that like I'm a good coach, but I'm also a good student. Okay. So when my coach tells me to do something, I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm on it. Right. So changed my price. I took the email he gave me, changed out, it was a template. So I was able to change out the info and put in my info, sent it to my list. Within 30 minutes of sending it to my list, I had 5 appointments booked on my calendar. And on top of that, one of the sentences in the email that he gave me, it was like, if you know that you don't want to wait to get on my calendar, just hit reply and I'll see if I can squeeze you in today. I had ended up getting 5 people on my calendar and getting 2 people that hit reply. And they was like, I don't want to wait. I want to speak to you today. Got on the phone and 1 person, I signed them in at my program being at 5,000. So at that time, that's the price that we raised it to. We raised it to $8,000, but we gave it to them for $5,000 if they joined on the call. Okay. And so just like that, I was able to get someone in 1 email, 30 minutes, 1 email. Okay. And so that's all you got to do. Now, okay, I'm saying that's all you have to do. But at the end of the day, again, the person who I work with is someone who already understands that they have to be growing a list and you're already out there doing that. And so that means that this will work for you. But I do know that in the Female Coaches Society, I also have some new coaches here, right? And so if you're new, then this should be an indication of, oh, maybe I should be growing my list. If I want to get to the point where I could send 1 email out and within 30 minutes, get a new client. That is where your head should be at right now. Now, you may be someone that you're like, man, but I don't have that email that your coach gave you, Nyala. Well, there's another time that I did this, and I'm going to give you the exact email that I wrote. I said, and this was all I wrote. This was a whole email. It said, hey, do you still need help getting clients? I'm talking 10 high-paying clients in the next 90 days. If so, hit reply and tell me about your business. And just like that, I had people hit reply and started to tell me about their business. And then what did I do? I started what I like to call a profitable conversation. That's a sales conversation, right? And leading people into either getting on a phone call with me or actually saying, I'm ready right now. You understand what I'm saying? And so just a simple email like that, you could send out to your list today and get clients. You just have to be willing to do it. Another thing you could do is a pop-up webinar. And now we're still in number 1. I didn't even give you the other 2 ways yet. We're still in number 1, right? So another thing you can do is a pop-up webinar. All right. And you can say, listen, hey, this is how I open up my emails. Hey, have you been struggling with ... Well, today I have some extra time on the calendar, and I decided that I want to do a pop-up webinar. Here's the link. Join me at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You teach a webinar. At the end of the webinar, you sell them into your program or you sell them into your calendar. If you have a high-end program, then you should be selling them into booking an appointment onto your calendar to see if and how you can help them. That is just another way, but it all comes from your email list. So even if you decide to do a pop-up webinar, you're still emailing this pop-up webinar to your email list. And so again, if you are growing an email list already, you can do this right now, no matter how big or how small your list is. But if you are not building an email list, then this should be something like a light bulb should be going on. And you should be like, wait a minute, that's what I probably should be focused on right now, is growing a database. Okay, because you need to be able to, what I said before, what did y'all write below? Move people from being cold to warm. And how you do that is by getting them onto your email list. Okay, and so that's the reason why when you see those people who have tens and thousands of followers, but they're still saying, get on my list, join my text list, join my list. Why? Because we already know that your followers is just your followers. They're cold. It's a cold audience. You need to move them to becoming a warm audience. Number 2 is your Facebook group. Okay. Your Facebook group. Why? Why does this work? Because again, it is your warm audience. Okay. This is your warm audience. Could this work, what I'm about to share with you, in someone else's Facebook group? Yes, but it's going to take longer if you don't know how to have a profitable conversation. So let me just give you the strategy. So in your Facebook group today, you can put out what I like to call a lead gen post. What is a lead gen post? Well, let's say a lead gen post is like what I just shared with you to send to your email. You could say, do you need help getting new clients? Type yes below. Like if I wanted to do that today in my Facebook group, I could say, do you need help getting new clients? Type yes below. And everybody that typed yes, I could say, go check your inbox, and I could go in their DM and start having what I like to call a profitable conversation. People like to call it sales conversations in the DM. I like to call it profitable conversations. Okay. And so what happens is when people say yes, I'm going to say, go check your DM. And then in the DM, I'll start off with the same type of script. I have a script, a sales script that I give my clients in a Market Your Message program to help them close calls. Well, guess what? That same script, we use it in the DMs. It's a little tweaking here and there, but for the most part, we use that in the DMs, right? And so to be able to have a profitable conversation, you just have to know how to ask the right questions, and know how to steer the conversation. Is this a skill? Yes, it's a skill, but you're only going to master that skill by doing it. Okay. So again, post a lead gen post. The people who comment below, you tell them to check their inbox, and you start having a conversation with them in their inbox, asking them, assessing where they're at, and then leading the conversation to see if they're a candidate to get on a call with you to book them into your program. Okay. Now, very recently, I did this. I think it was November. I can't remember, but I did a workshop called the Social Posting Success Workshop. And we did the same thing. We talked about, we put out a lead gen post, and it was something like, do it take you more than an hour to write one post? Type yes below. And everyone that typed yes below, we went and we started a conversation, and we invited them to the Social Posting Success Workshop. You understand? So you have to know and see. This kind of goes back to, or not goes back to, but it kind of helps me add in the pre-work, so like before, when I said the pre-work is you have to know how to captivate your ideal client. You have to know how to cultivate relationships with them. But then another thing is, even with like this whole Facebook strategy that I'm giving you, in order for this to work, you got to know what's the big promise for what your offer is. What's the problem? You see what I'm saying? So my problem is that my ideal clients is struggling with getting clients. So that's how come I know that a lead gen post would be great if I said, do you still need help getting clients? Type yes below. Or let's say I wanted to go from the promise angle. I can say, do you want to know how to sign 10 high paying clients in the next 90 days? Type yes below. That's a promise. Instead of the problem angle, that's the promise. So you got to know who's my ideal client, what's the problem they're struggling with, what's the promise for the offer that I'm getting ready to sell them into, so you can create a good lead gen post. Number 3. So number 3, the third strategy is you can make a short list. Okay. And so what this means is just think of making a short list of people who would be ideal for your program, and then actually reaching out with them and having a profitable conversation. So your short list can be, past clients. It could be community members. It could be, people who you have had calls with, but they didn't take you up on the offer, right? That's why they say the money is in the follow-up, right? Maybe they weren't ready then, but if you go to them now, they may be ready, right? So you create a short list of like 20 people, and then you take your time and you reach out to them, and you have a profitable conversation with them. All right. Those are the 3 ways. So number 1, tapping into your email list. I gave you a couple ways you could tap into your email list. 2, tapping into your Facebook group. And 3, making a short list. Okay. So here are some things that I want to make sure that I leave you with and that you do not forget. Number one, you should be building a list, because even if, as you can see with that first strategy that I gave you, if you're not building a list, it ain't going to work, right? Number two, you should be nurturing your audience consistently, right? So how do you do that? By building value. That doesn't mean live streaming every day. I don't live stream every day. I only live stream once a week. That doesn't mean that you have to be creating content like a mouse every single day. No, it just means that when you do come out, you come out with value. You share the stories. You come out in a way that's going to build confidence, instill confidence in your ideal clients, and help them know, like, and trust you. Okay. Number three, you should be solving one big problem in a measurable way. So this part is important. So this is like what I said to you, within the example, the problem is you're struggling with getting clients, but the big promise is I'm going to help you get 10 high paying clients in the next 90 days. So that's very measurable, right? And so you're able to be like, oh, okay, yes, I would love to get 10 clients in the next 90 days. So you're going to pay attention to me. And then lastly, you need to be courageous enough to go get the clients. So a lot of coaches struggle with that. It's like, you have greatness in you. You know that you have a message. You know that you have skills that you can help, and you know that you deserve, but there's something that holds you back from actually stepping out there and getting the sale. It's something that holds you back from actually reaching. I know they say build it and they will come. That is so not true. You could build the biggest business that you could think of. They will not come. You have to know how to get clients, right? As you grow, that's when more people will come. You have to know and be courageous enough to go after your clients.